right over here, and Anne does too. So Ron will come right back to you, Anne.
Thank you all for your participation today. Fran, thank you for mentioning that you only serve girls and alluding to the fact that this happens to boys too. I'm a little dismayed that we haven't placed a little bit more attention on the young boys that this happens to, as well as the fact that labor trafficking is a very serious subject, and we haven't said much about that today. I just put on, my name is Billy Fidlin, and I'm Director of Outreach and Justice for United Methodist Churches in the states of Arizona and Southern Nevada. Kathleen, it's good to see you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just put on an event in Nogales. We put on an event in Las Vegas earlier this year. Several thousand people came to that human trafficking event. We do them regularly in Green Valley. We're paying attention to a lot of the southern part of the state because so much is valley-centric. In Nogales, we put on an event on March 12th, and everything around that event ended up having to be structured around the fact that the people were afraid to come because they were afraid of the traffickers and what would happen to their personal lives if they were seen. I don't hear so much about that in Phoenix. Is it absent or what's happening in that area?
Thank you for your question. Who'd like to respond to that?
Yes. Kathleen, I'm sorry.
In your smaller rural areas, because Nogales and Rio Rico, you're more transparent. People know. In a big city like this, you can kind of disappear. Maricopa County is huge, but we find in Parker, in places where we have Native, we didn't even talk on Native American. One of the unintended consequences of this law passing is that if you go and you have sex on the reservation at these casinos, you're not bound by the same laws. So if you get caught there, you don't have the same punishments that you do outside of that. But to your point, in a small community where Joe knows Sally, and if they go to the Kmart, everyone knows by 4 o'clock that day, to come forward, and then if someone is busted, you run the risk of real danger for someone. So their fear is real and is valid.
The city has asked us back, and we'll be back for our second event, January 25th.
Great.
Be back on the 25th of January to do exactly in a way the same event again. But it was just very, very interesting. By the way, Nogales, Arizona, not Mexico, although we will be in Mexico as well.
Yeah.
So,
I have 2 grandkids in Rio Rico, so keep going.
Will do.
Thank you.
And, yeah, Brian wants to. Let's pause it, Brian, also.
No, I was going to just encourage you that that's a very, very sensitive topic. As survivors, that moment in which they are comfortable to come forward and tell the story. And I would encourage you at the city level task force, there is a new sort of a group developing that is a survivor led network. Our goal is to have all calls that kind of come into the national hotline that come to Arizona be fielded by a group of survivors, knowing that they can most relate. But if you're needing speakers, I've found that pulling from that pool, these are folks who've been out of the life for years. They're often a little more experienced in that, and they're not kind of re-traumatized by that, but that could be a resource for you.
Yeah, thank you. We're very experienced in all of that. I will say this was just general city attendance. They were afraid of attending because there are still cafe shootings in Nogales in the daytime. Not as many, but they're there. And it was literally about simply attending to learn more about how I can help. They were afraid.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Anne.
Well, I'd just like to thank you all so much for what you've shared, and you've given me some ideas of one of the questions I was going to ask, and that is that by and large, when we're in our own little worlds, we don't know these things are going on in our backyard, and how can we better recognize and help with this individually? And I think some ideas have come out. I just also like to offer another suggestion that we might consider, in that, part of Arizona Interfaith Movement is service, and maybe this could be a service project for us to come and just volunteer or come to each of your agencies and organizations and get involved in some ways, a service organization for our group. And maybe we can get some better insights. But if you have ideas on how we might recognize and be more helpful, that'd be great.
That's Such an excellent question. So let me, would anyone like to respond to that? Who would like to respond?
I'll respond briefly.
I'm more of a black and white guy, so I can respond briefly. We do need to use the very thing that's detrimental for good. We need to like and share and post and email the articles that all of our organizations are sharing. We try very intentionally to share articles about this issue and about bringing the awareness and education, not just about StreetLightUSA, but about all of the organizations that have these issues, whether it's the CNN Freedom Project, okay, whether it's Share Hope International, whether it's all of the great things that Dominique posts from ASU. You know, we have to share the word and get it out there so people understand what's going on. I think first and foremost, that's what we can do. And then we can be the boots on the ground and we can get involved and come do a service project at the different organizations so that we will raise up the awareness and bring those champions that I talked about earlier.
So Kathleen was just saying that she could share something with me that in a way that we could share with Arizona Interfaith and disseminate that information. What I think is really fascinating is Ann emailed me on Friday, I think it was, and said his sister was attending a conference in Houston?
Yeah, Dallas.
In Dallas, on this very topic,
Yeah.
and had some resources, and she actually printed, did you print them out?
They're on the back of the
They're on the back of this?
Yes.
Yeah, so on the back of this is some information, and also on our website we can put some information. And does anyone else have a question? Yes, Ron.
Yes, I get to ask a question.
Yes, you do. You have the mic.
So I'm wondering, what kind of legal consequences do the perpetrators of these crimes run? You know, the pimps and the people behind the rings. What happens to them?
Kathleen's like, yes.
I take personal pride in this because I helped draft the law. Yay! So one of the things is we treat the victims as victims, so that was actually written into the law that they get victim services. But what happened in Arizona is we had a gap in our law, 15, 16, and 17. If you were caught in the purchase of a minor, you just had to tell the judge, I didn't know, I thought she was an adult, and it went from a felony to a misdemeanor. And HB 2454, which is now a law, changed that and closed that gap. And you're looking, so it's a complex complex when you're doing sentencing, because if you've got one count, it's this, that, and the other. But basically, one count would be anywhere from 10 to 13 years, depending on what you were prosecuted for, if it's a minor. But there's other things of other different charges of kidnapping, of other charges that can be added to these charges. So recently, finally, we've had some cases where sentencing has come down and we put away pimps and we put away perpetrators for anywhere from life sentences to 15, 20, 30 years. So we are starting to see those, and the law went into effect will be 2 years ago this July. Which is really exciting. It failed the first time. It never ever made it out of committee. And at the time I was devastated, but it looked like, but then it created such an uproar. It actually helped bond all of our organizations together with a common mission. So, the whole God works in mysterious ways. The other thing that we're doing is we're changing laws in the cities as it relates to massage parlors. Many times massage parlors could stay open all night long. I just don't think anyone needs a massage at 2 a.m. So we're now closing those. They have to have an on-site manager. They have to have certain signage. You can't lock the doors. Police were showing up. It was always the cleaning crew on staff, that was there, no manager. So just changing those little nuances. We've gone from 200 massage parlors down to 121 in Mesa, which is where I live, so I take personal pride in that. And I think that the city of Phoenix and the city of Scottsdale would tell you that I think Phoenix only has 30 or 35 right now. So that's a breeding ground, as we talked about, for human trafficking, the massage parlor. So you're looking at cities taking on ordinances and the state is doing some other improvements on their laws. But sentencing is pretty severe if you get caught with a child, whether you knew or not. That was the most major change.
Actually, we're just, oh, there's one more question in the back.
I like how you assume there's one. I actually have a couple questions. The first is, where would be the best place to go on the internet to get the stats, the numbers of what's going on, especially in Arizona? The second one is, why don't we call this slavery?
We do.
We do, okay. I think that's the way to get past the media, is listening to that. And the other one is, and this one might challenge everybody, is why don't we make it legal, like in Europe?
So 3 questions on the table, and well, actually 2. And the first one is, where can you go to get the stats? And I'm assuming that you mean prostitution being legal. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about the stats on trafficking and what's going on in the states.
Okay.
Even the arrest numbers we've done.
Okay. All right. So who would like to address that?
It is one of our biggest peeves, I guess, is that we see something on the front line, we see numbers, we see lives at a certain level at X, but the generally accepted report out authorities, there's great disparities between that. I met with some folks with Polaris just last week, and we talked about, the differences between what's seen at a national level reported from Arizona versus what we actually see on the ground. So each of our agencies has numbers that we report out. You could certainly go, I think there are 66 in Arizona and 16 in the metro right here that do something for victims. I would be remiss if I didn't plug the Governor's Task Force website though, www.endsextrafficking.az.gov. And at least for our state level work, it's become a repository for position papers that have been posted, a plethora of PDFs, resources that you can download and post at your workplace, as well as videos, statistics, and different things. I'm sure there are some other great resources. Shared Hope International posts a lot of great stuff, amazing stuff actually. But to your actual question of arrest and the most updated, you may want to actually get on the email list of either the Governor's Task Force for Human Trafficking or the City Task Force. Law enforcement report out very diligently, especially at the city one, and there's always information there, recent arrest records. You could probably check those minutes. There's information there that never, for whatever reason, trickles up to those national levels.
Anyone else?
I would just say shared hope.
Shared hope. Okay. So I need to take the mic back now, and let's thank all of our panelists. Did you learn something today? Yeah. My invitation to each of us who are from different faith communities is to take this information back. The video will be placed up. Share it. Share it in your staff meetings. Share it with the ministry leaders. If you know people in other faith denominations other than your own, share it so together we can build awareness. Because it shouldn't just be one, seeming like, we'll say seeming like it's only one faith denomination working on this. I'm hoping that our panelists will be able to stick around a little bit afterwards to meet and greet people and answer any questions that you might have that you maybe didn't get a chance to ask, or if you would like to find out more about their organizations that they represent. And I want to let you know, before I bring up Larry, to let us know how you can partner with us at Arizona Interfaith Movement. I'd like to let you know a little bit about our next forum, which is on Tuesday, May 17th, and it is about faith and the female. So we'll have an all-female panel on that day, and it is really about how various faiths view women and their roles within that faith. What is their place in the home and family, in society and the world? Are they second-class citizens? To what level can women rise in their faiths? Can they become church leaders? Has there been a shift in these roles over the years? So we're going to be exploring that. And so I'd like to invite up, actually before I invite you up, Larry Fultz, our Executive Director, can I invite Larry Bell, the Executive, where did he just walk in from, to just share, like in a couple of sentences about our beautiful building that we're at.
And then I'll have you pass to Larry Fultz.
That's this one.
Okay.
How many of you have been here before? Oh, so you all know. But it was the first synagogue built in Phoenix. It later became a Chinese-speaking, Spanish-speaking Baptist church. So it was actually historical because it not only was the first synagogue, but it was the first Chinese-speaking church of any kind in Phoenix. And unfortunately, I don't have the captions here, but this is a picture from 1926. And they're having a Passover Seder. And actually, appropriate for this panel, you know, Passover's coming up this weekend. It starts Friday night. Or in Hebrew they call it Pesach. But it's really, so Passover celebrates or commemorates the Exodus from Egypt, which is a story of liberation, which is what you're talking about in a way, is liberation in the case of the Exodus of the Jews from slavery in Egypt. But definitely something that happens in a lot of Seders, I would say, is we do talk about modern forms or contemporary forms of slavery in a way, and how can we resolve that. So sorry I wasn't able to sit in the whole thing. I had something come up that I had to address. But anyway, so it's definitely a topic that comes up at Passover, very appropriate. So if any of you want information about us, it's on the table as you go, and take a flyer. And we have lots of programs. People of any faith, culture, religion are welcome to attend. And hopefully we'll see you again. So,
Thank you. Thank you, panelists, so much. I think what I have to say is minuscule. I really feel illiterate. As a senior citizen, a normal senior citizen, some would question normal. Nobody will debate senior. I feel illiterate about this topic. I also feel like we need to have this done again, Mitzi. We need to have 500 people there. We need to have every school administrator, every youth leader of every faith group. This message has to be given out. And I want to just say the Arizona Interfaith is committed to assisting you in getting this message out and trying to develop a forum where we can really reach our community. Every legislator ought to be hearing what we've heard today. Do you agree? I was privileged to go, and I thank all of you for the marvelous work that you're doing. Absolutely fantastic. I was privileged to go to the Winn Center Friday night and to their banquet and got firsthand knowledge of what they do. It's absolutely phenomenal. I was blown away. My wife and I really we became emotional about what's happening in the lives of young people and what can happen as a result of a community coming together and making something happen. My question to you is, I remember talking to a couple of young ladies who were just getting ready to go out onto the street. And my question is, how do these young people come to you? Is it by various methods, or but do you go out and seek them? Or do they come to you? How do you do that?
We deal with minors.
Okay.
And so our circumstances are different. The children come to us as referred. They come from, because they are classified as homeless, they come through DPS, they come through law enforcement, they come through, in many instances, our fellow non-for-profits who don't have the beds to place them. So our method of getting the girls is actually on a referral basis. We have a few that come of their own volition, whose families, for one reason or another, felt that this is what they needed for their children. But by and large, the majority of our beds are filled by agencies who are responsible for minors, and we have beds. Did I answer that?
All of us have children and young children, grandchildren, and I just can't help but think about that when I listen to this conversation here. And so we are going to do everything we can, Mitzi, to put this panel reproduced.
I want to ask Pastor Brian if he wanted to respond to how people come to him, how they go to
Yes,
the center.
yes.
Yeah, I can. So I think we've served 350 women since 2008. About a third have come through our partnerships with law enforcement. So we just flew in a girl from Texas, and last week one from Alaska. So it's law enforcement across the U.S. who refer them in. About a third come from those outreaches. Larry saw some of the outreach workers at 11 o'clock getting ready to go out into the streets. And then about another third are referrals, much like what StreetLightUSA said, just referrals from other agencies who are like, we're full or should be a better fit over there. So that's kind of our breakout: law enforcement, outreach, and referrals from other places.
And I personally would like to come to each of your organizations to learn more about you. I know my church helps sponsor Streetlight a little bit, that I attend, but I would like to be more involved, and I'm on the missions committee in our church, so I really should know more about what Streetlight does. And I want to know more about what you folk do. As what I want to say is very brief, we have a calendar here that talks about the holy days of every faith throughout the year. And I think that's important, especially in schools, where teachers are involved with children, and might also be important for you who are involved with people who are religious faith. And holy days are special to people, are they not? Yes, they are. Christmas and Easter for me as a Christian, Passover for our Jewish friends, and Ramadan for our Muslim friends. There's many holy days that are important, and this tells you all about that. We have two books. One is a Voices of Faith, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and it's about the various faiths in our organization, talks about who they are and what they are. We have a CD. This is about our Agree program in our schools, and it's a wonderful program put together by our Agree Dance and Art Director. This is bad. What is the story of this? No, I don't need that. I got a big mouth. So I don't need that. We have an Interfaith Inspirations every day. You can read from this, from a different faith and inspiration. You'd be surprised what you can find in here that's inspiring to you. If you'd like to be a member of our organization, you can do so by taking one of these. It's $25 a year. You help us provide these kinds of things right here that we've done today. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you, panel, again, for your wonderful gracious attention.